In the aftermath of the LA fires, the number one question we're receiving here is there still fire hazard insurance available in San Diego? And of course, the answer is yes. While there's plenty of insurance available, you do have to have an understanding of, am I in a high fire hazard or even a severe fire hazard zone, or am I not? And that's going to determine how many carriers are available. Now, the prices have come up, make no mistake about it, but for those of you that are not in a severe or the highest tier of fire hazard zone, then you're not going to see too much difference from the past, other than that you might have fewer options. But pricing has come up, but it's not necessarily going to be anything that blows you out of the water. But where things get really, really tricky is if you're in that highest bracket, the highest hazard center, okay, or zone, I should say, then you could see that there's even fewer and potentially even zero insurance carriers available. So you have to understand, where are you located? Now, that's going to even change more so if your replacement value is in excess of $3 million, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But in terms of understanding where you're located, the one thing I'd say is reach out and ask, because you cannot make an assumption based on what it looks like around you. As an example, I recently had a home that I was not on a canyon, but I was in a neighborhood, in an area, a general area that does have open space in it. But my particular property, it had homes on really all sides of it. And yet, so I was thinking, well, okay, I'm not in I couldn't be in the highest fire hazard zone. No, there's no way about that. I'm not backing up to brush or open space. But sure enough, the way, and a hard lesson, was that what I learned was they do not classify the zone that you're in based on your particular property, but rather the general area. So they'll just draw kind of this general space and say that's all in the severe fire hazard zone. And no matter where you are within that, even if you're completely surrounded by concrete, you're still going to be classified that way. A long way of just trying to say, do not just make your own decision about what fire hazard zone you're in based on what you see around you. Make sure you reach out and ask, because you easily could be wrong. And this is especially important if you're buying a property and trying to understand, what are my probable costs going to be. Now, when it's in excess of $3 million, the replacement value, let me emphasize that, replacement value of the structure, because you don't have to insure the land. The land is just land, right? It cannot burn. You could burn maybe the grass on it, but the land remains. So all you're doing is insuring the structure. When the replacement value, should it burn and you have to rebuild it, be in excess of $3 million, then you no longer have access to what's called the California FAIR plan. California FAIR is what people in the most severe fire hazard zones use. When there's no insurance carrier available, then it's a government program and you get fire hazard insurance right through there. By the way, it's more expensive, but even if you need, say, upwards of $3 million, it's still going to be, and this is please not a quote at all, okay? Asterisk, etc. Please reach out to insurance carrier, and I'm happy to refer you to one. But you're talking $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 range, up to $3 million, right? And less if it's for a lower replacement cost. But when you're above $3 million, California FAIR does not any longer cover you. So if your replacement value, as an example, is $4 million, you could get California FAIR up to $3 million, but you're going to have $1 million uninsured dollars. And if there's no carrier around because you're in a severe fire hazard zone, then you're going to have to cover that $1 million that right above the 3. So you're going to have to cover that extra $1 million through what they call the secondary markets, which can get prohibitively and just wildly expensive sometimes. It's important that you make a judgment call on the property you're looking at, or even the property you own if you think you might not get renewed, to understand if this is an expense that you're going to want to continue to carry, because it could be really different from what you had in the past. So make sure you reach out on that. Make sure that I'm very happy to give you a referral to the person that I personally use, that I always lean on myself. And most importantly, reach out to understand, what zone am I in, making no assumptions of that fact for yourself. So that's just some things to think about in terms of fire hazard insurance. But again, make no mistake about it, the absolute vast majority of properties across San Diego County are insurable, still have carriers, but it's true that some don't, and that's why you'll want to make sure that you get all the right advice. I hope you find this helpful. I'll see you on the next one.